Welcome back, everybody, to the Planet Film Network.
We just saw Morbius, and we're about to tell you if it's as bad as everybody says it is.
All right, everybody. So, as we said at the top, we did just sit down. We actually watched this one together. We just sat down and watched Morbius. Um, I will say it is a refreshing hour 45 instead of like 2 hours or longer, as things have been lately. Um, but yeah, we have some thoughts about it. I am, as always, one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
And I'm your other host, TJ Cornwell, and welcome back to another review on the channel. Yeah, so we just saw it about, I don't know, 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
I think we both came out with maybe similar thoughts, I guess.
Maybe.
I think maybe more one a little bit different than the other, but I think maybe landing on the same page.
Mm-hmm. It'll be
Um,
interesting.
yeah. So who would like to go first? Who?
Um, why don't we have you go first on this one?
Okay.
Just lay it out what your let's start with the positive. Let's start with the
Okay.
positive. So
Okay.
hit me with some of the things that worked for you.
Well, first of all, this is a new Sony picture,
Mm-hmm.
Morbius, in association with Marvel, not a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a
absolutely.
Marvel movie, but it's not Marvel who mainly produced it. Um, I think positives to take away. Um, I thought I liked Matt Smith in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I liked Jared Leto. I think in the movie. I liked Morbius. I liked what's Matt Smith's character name?
Milo
Milo.
or Lucian.
Um, yeah. Uh, I liked him kind of. I liked him learning his powers. I like that kind of aspect to it. I thought that was interesting. Um, I liked I, I liked the fight in the subway. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool. I liked maybe the first slow mo shot they did, and then they did it about five other times, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"What? You're just killing me with it now. You're
Yeah.
beating me over the head with it." Um, and that's it, I guess. I think some of it comes down to like, I mean, I won't get into the negatives yet, but like, for just for me personally, like, I don't think it's offensive like a lot of people are saying. I don't think
Yeah.
it's good.
Mm-hmm. But people are
It's
saying like,
bad.
"Oh, it's the worst movie, worst
I
Marvel
disagree
movie
with that.
ever." I
I
don't think
disagree with
that's
that.
accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
I
Fantastic
think
Four 2015 is worse than this.
I was just gonna say like I think I would say like I think like Apocalypse is probably worse than this movie.
Mm.
Like that, I would put this in the category as like Dark Phoenix, where it's like,
Hmm.
you were going for something and it just didn't come together. Like you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
like Dark Phoenix was definitely like, all right, well, Apocalypse really was a huge step down from Days of Future Past. Like, what are we gonna do to kind of fix it? Um, and I think they went with darker tone, darker humor, still having like that X-Men humor and X-Men dialogue, but darker.
Hmm.
Beast says the, or no, not Beast. Scott Summers says the F word, which is like super edgy in that movie. And I feel like this is a very similar vein. Like if I had to compare it to one thing, like on a ranking or whatever, I think it would be right next to like Dark Phoenix for me. Some of the positives for me, I really think that the single biggest positive in this is the visuals of the movie. I think
Okay.
I agree with what you said. With the classic, we got a lot of it in the late 2000s, early 2010s, but that jumps through window and then like slow mo high frame rate
Hmm.
shards of glass flying behind you type of thing. Like that was a lot. That happened a lot. It might have been 5 times. Might have been more than 5 times. But besides that, I thought the actual visuals and also kind of the visual language that they established with uh, his powers, and also and we will say this is a full spoiler review,
Yeah.
because really, what's the point? You're not going to be watching a review for Morbius if you a don't intend on seeing it, haven't seen it yet, or b or c just don't care. Um,
Hmm.
so this the powers of not just Morbius but also Milo. I thought that was really really cool, and the way that they did that with kind of the trail effect. Even when, like you said, I think that one of the strongest scenes. I don't know if you call it one scene or maybe the strongest segment of the movie, which probably about like 10 minutes, was the whole subway scene. It was
Yeah.
starting. I would say starting with the prison break, getting to him taking flight. And then that whole sequence, I thought too, like the way that he stuck his hand out and saw the like airwaves. And I even
Hmm.
like that we got a little tease of his flight powers earlier in the movie, but
On the roof.
yeah, on the roof, but it's
Hmm.
almost like he didn't know what to make of it, so he didn't act on it. But I felt
Right.
like the visual language of his powers was so concrete that, like, when they showed that, we understood immediately. We were like, oh, that like wind thing is probably how he's gonna fly later on. So I thought that was really good. And then, like I said, too, the actual visuals of their face. I thought that the CG was really, really good on that.
I
There
agree
was
with
there
that.
was
Yeah.
some parts, you know, I feel like with any Marvel movie or big budget, CGI type movie,
Hmm.
um, there were some parts where there's like a ton of particles going on, or like when they're at the end, when they're both all vampired out, and like
Hmm.
clawing at each other as they're falling and stuff. Where like it looks a little rubbery and stuff, but overall, I thought that looked very, very good. And I do agree. I think that Matt Smith was really. I thought that Matt Smith was really good, and I think that he was really, really trying to just give a almost like Jim Carrey Riddler esque over the top, villain performance. And I thought he nailed
Hmm.
that. I thought if that's what he was going for, I think he nailed that. I think, and I will say, I am outspoken Jared Leto
Hater.
unenjoyer. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You don't hate him. You're just
I don't
like,
hate him. I just
no.
he really is off-putting to me in movies. Like he really
Hmm.
just. My biggest criticism with him is that it never feels like I'm watching a real person. And what I will say for this is, I I believed him as Michael Morbius, and I did genuinely feel like he was playing a real person. Like I felt like this
Mm.
was the most natural, not over the top that we've seen Jared Leto in a long time. I think that if I had to sum up his performance, I would say it was not over the top. That's
Hmm.
just my opinion on it. But with Joker, Paulo Gucci, some of these ones that we've seen lately, even Blade Runner 2049, which again is a movie that I think he was great in, but he is by nature playing an over the top character in Blade Runner.
Right.
But again, I didn't hate him in that. This, I really felt like Michael Morbius was a person. I felt like he was a really an actual person. And I thought that was really good. And I think mainly, I think the first half of this movie, maybe even the first 2/3 of this movie, I thought there was something really decent there. Um,
Hmm.
I was like, I found myself, 30 minutes in being like, wow, I'm kind of like not hating this. Sure, is like some of the
Yeah.
style choices and stuff old news that, there's a lot more like, current stuff. Yes. But that we'll touch on when we get to a little bit more of the negative and everything. But that for me, I think there definitely are positives to see in this movie. I don't think overall that it's a good movie, but I
I'd
think
agree. Yep.
it's watchable, and I think a little more than watchable. I think it's worth watching. Um,
I think you
but
could
that's just
wait.
my opinion.
Like I
Yeah.
think you could wait for it to come. I mean, Sony doesn't have their own service or
Hmm.
anything, but I think you could wait to watch it at home. You don't necessarily have to go to a
I
theater.
agree with that. If they had their own streaming service, I would say totally. Like if this was a
Hmm.
Batman situation and we knew it was going to be on, HBO Max in 45 days or something, totally wait. I don't think that the CG rises to the level that like you have to see this in a theater. Like I think that
Right.
the CG would be just as good and just as kind of wonky in parts if you were to watch it, say at home like a Moon Knight or something. Um, but yeah, I feel like that would probably do it for the positives on the film.
Yep.
Um, do you want to go into some of your negatives? I'm sure we could just kind of
Yeah.
bounce off it, the
Yeah.
conversation at that point.
Yeah. I mean, mainly the biggest one for me, I think, is just the script was not good. Um, there's a lot of things that didn't make sense. They didn't really explain or touch on a lot of stuff. I think anywhere from "you wouldn't like me when I'm hungry"
I
to
almost left the
when
theater.
he said, I think he said, "I am Venom" or "We are Venom," and I
He
leaned
said,
over to
"I
you.
am Venom." Yeah.
I leaned over to you. I said, "Did he just? I thought he said I am Venom," and you're like, "He did." I was like, "Oh, okay, uh, all right." Um, because it's a different relationship. Venom is the symbiote that is attached to Tom Hardy, whereas Jared Leto just altered his DNA. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not like a thing that he can leave him. Matt Smith's character Milo, that whole thing didn't really make much sense to me. Uh, like
I love it.
when
That
he
whole thing, just the entire character.
the whole like well the whole like because there's like a
Yeah.
there's a childhood flashback in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and him like he sits down and Morbius is like, "Oh, you're like the 12th Milo or something." But what's his actual name? Like, what's Matt
His
Smith's
name
character actual
Lucian.
name? Okay,
Yeah.
but they call him Milo the entire movie. I'm
Yeah.
like, why can't we just call him by his regular name? Like, why do we have to go with Milo?
Yeah, I feel like movies benefit of the doubt. I feel like it was definitely not conveyed well enough, but I think
Yeah.
if I'm filling in, not if I'm filling in gaps in my head to try and make that make sense, I would take that
Hmm.
as he was probably in and out of foster homes, never really felt attached to the name Lucian, and then
Hmm.
because in the end of the movie, when what happens at the very end of the film, he says, Michael, you meant so much to me, whatever, you gave me my name. So I took that as like he didn't want people calling him Lucian because he felt no connection to that, because I felt like it was one of those things. But again, this is all filling in blanks that the movie doesn't
Hmm.
even come close to addressing. Um, I kind of got that impression of like, well, I never really felt like I was me until he kind of met Michael and Nicholas, who is Jared Harris's character. Had to look
Hmm.
that one up. I feel
Didn't
like that
age,
was
by the
kind of
way.
it.
Didn't age.
No, this is my question. He looks like Jared Harris now, maybe a little bit of dyed hair going on
Yeah.
in like the flashback scenes. But then when it jumps forward and he's getting the Nobel Prize, not
The
not the
Nobel
Nobel
Prize.
Prize, when
They
he's
call it the
getting
Nobel Prize.
exactly when he's getting the Nobel Prize, Jared Harris, his hair is completely white in that scene. I'd have to
Mm.
watch it again, but I swear his hair was completely white in that scene. And then every other time you see Jared Harris in the movie, he just has regular hair again. Like
Hmm.
he just looks exactly the same. Like
Hmm.
it was like they tried to age him up by like dyeing his hair white for that one scene, like for the rest of the
Yeah.
movie, and then they were like, I don't think people really care. And then his hair was like, it's not like brown, but it's brownish gray,
Hmm.
but it's definitely like they tried to age him up. It seems for like one scene, and then just kind of gave up on it.
Right. Yeah. Something else that really bothered me was Milo like getting the serum basically.
Yeah,
Like we see he sees it, and then he like shows up to the prison and is fine. Or you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
he's already taken the serum, and I'm like, well,
He's
why
already
didn't you
taken the
like
serum, and he already killed the nurse, and he already knows how to do the blood and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
there
I
was
mean,
a
I
lot in
guess
this
like
movie that was just off screen. So
mhm.
much happens off screen.
I mean, I guess it's something like, you know, when the nurse gets attacked, like you kind of figure that it wasn't, at least that's what I
Michael,
think you're supposed
yeah,
to do, right?
yeah,
Um, but like, I don't know, like I could have used like somebody showing me that he
took them.
took it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I
You're
don't
not.
know.
You're completely making sense. The movie isn't like,
Right.
like I said. Like I said, there's so much in this film that is just not present. Like
Hmm.
there are integral story beats that are just skipped over. One being now, and I heard people say that about the film before, that there are things off screen that you're like, why was that off screen? And I thought at first what they were talking about, because I felt this about when Michael actually transforms for the first time, we're we're with Martine's character and like the mercenary guy, and then
Hmm.
oh, he's a vampire and he's on the ceiling. Like we don't see
Yeah.
the transformation at all. Yes, obviously we see the like him transform, here and there throughout the rest of the movie. But like, they really had an opportunity to do like kind of a body horror, like, well, what does it really look like when this guy's DNA is being altered like right there on the table? We don't see any of that. And granted, that was like a 30-second gap in time that we didn't see. Milo taking it, that was days, if not weeks.
Yeah.
That we had Milo as a character getting kicked out by Morbius, for his own good, like, it's not safe, whatever. And then the next time we see him, it's like a week later in the story, and he's already a vampire, and he's already killed people, and
Hmm.
he's just, this full tilt crazy evil person again. And it's
They
like,
never really explained to why Milo is stronger than Morbius. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah.
kind of took it as like, oh, he's embraced it, I guess. So he's
Hmm.
just, you know, I guess better.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought for a while that they were gonna maybe have slightly different powers, because when Morbius
hmm.
flew, um, I kind of got the impression, okay, well, maybe Milo is stronger, but maybe he can't fly or something.
Yeah.
And then later in the movie, I kind of got the impression that, because Morbius does his, when they're fighting in that subway, which, like we said before, that's probably one of the best fights in the movie. But I would say better than the last fight. The last fight was really just more of like, you know, kind of Deathly Hallows Part 2, flying around each other in the sky, punching each, type
Mm-hmm.
of thing. I felt like the subway actually showed, some of their different powers, how unhinged Milo is. I thought that was a better, showing of kind of their differences and everything. But in that scene, Morbius kind of like, calms down and hones in on um, the echolocation, and kind of starts dodging all of his punches. So then I
Yeah.
thought maybe, okay, well, maybe Milo's stronger, but maybe Milo doesn't have the echolocation or something, or maybe Milo is just so, like you said, he's embraced it more, has more of that bloodlust. So maybe Milo's just overlooking it. You know what I mean? Maybe he's
Hmm.
not even giving any credit to whatever the echolocation is. He's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But then later in the movie, they show that he's using the echolocation to listen in. So it's like, it doesn't even make sense. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I agree with you too. Like, there's so many inconsistencies in what each of their powers are, and also kind of the final minutes of the movie, revealing that Morbius has the power to summon an army of bats.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, where was that earlier in the movie? Where, like, and I get that he was like, oh, the bats, they view me, almost as a brother. Like, I get that they set that up, but that still doesn't
Right.
explain why he was able to summon like a legion of like thousands upon thousands of
Hmm.
bats within like a minute. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, I think overall, it's a better movie than I think people were thinking it was going to be, like, out of the gate. Um, but it's by no means a good movie, I would say.
Sorry, I'm looking for Oh, here it is. The thing I want to talk about next, or another thing I want to talk about is Tyrese.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I forget, I just had his name, the
Hey,
other
kitty,
FBI
kitty.
agent, Al Madrigal. It looks
Yeah.
like his name is. Um, so the
The kitty
Agent
litter box.
Rodriguez, played by Al Madrigal, he seems like I'm not really sure why he's like in the movie, and this is part of the thing where I say the script was not good. Is
Yeah.
he's kind of there to make statements? It
Yeah.
seems like he doesn't really add anything of anything like worth listening to. Where Tyrese is more playing kind of the main FBI agent, I guess, and basically when they walk into a crime scene or something, Agent Rodriguez will just give the rundown of what happened or what
Yeah.
we're looking at, and that's about it. Like he doesn't add any substance to anything. And even Tyrese, like he doesn't need to. I don't even think like you you necessarily you could have just had regular cops.
No,
Um,
exactly. I don't think that they needed to be. I don't think that they both needed to be in the movie, and I don't think that the
hmm
characters needed to be in the movie at all. Like you said,
hmm
I think it could have just been regular cops or just two whatever FBI agents, because really, what do? They arrest him, which could have just been unnamed police officers catching him. Um,
hmm
really nothing, honestly, really nothing happens. I mean, they have one interrogation scene, but pretty much besides that, besides them catching him in like the lobby of the building and then that one interrogation scene, they really don't even intersect with the main storyline at
hmm
all. Like
Right.
literally at all. They're really just there to give commentary and to be like, oh, maybe I guess it wasn't the doctor after all. When they see CCTV footage of Milo committing it, which I thought was there was like a little Doctor
I
Who
missed that. I was in
moment.
the bathroom.
Yeah, there was like a little Doctor Who thing where like they look at it and they were like, "Oh, that guy's not the doctor. Who is that?" It's like, "Oh, he is the doctor." But yeah, like really that was it. Honestly, besides those two interactions, they're
Yeah.
really just kind of hovering like above the story. They really don't have any
Yeah.
driving force in it, which is
Um,
very stupid.
the thing I was looking for was a Tyrese quote that he gave like in 2020, I think it
Yeah.
was. And this is off of Cinema Blend, where he was talking about what to expect from Morbius with his character. And he said, "My character was originally white, and they made him black. But I like to say he was a white guy who got a really good tan. The arm has all kinds of special effects and powers, and that's going to mess people up when they see this movie. It's my first time ever officially being a superhero. I've done some superhero shit, but I ain't never been a superhero. I had to explain this to my daughter. No suit, no,
No, I
no.
was literally waiting for it because I remember in the first trailer they show that he has a
I'm
bionic
looking at the
arm,
screenshot. Yep, I'm looking at
and
the
you see
screenshot
the
he's talking about.
bionic arm in the movie. It's
Yeah.
like what do they call it? It's like
Oh, do
Chekhov's
you?
gun. It's
I must have
Chekhov's
missed it.
bionic arm. It's sitting on the table like in like a cradle in the lab
Oh,
when Milo like scares Martine in the when he's like, "Oh, I let
okay.
myself in." It's sitting on the table, and it was like Chekhov's gun, where it's like, "Oh, well, there it is." It's he's gonna Tyrese is gonna come in and be like, "Oh shit, let me give this a spin or something." Um, but really, they don't do anything. Like he makes one comment that says, "Doc, I
Oh,
gotta
you
I
saved
gotta
my
thank
arm, and
you. Yeah, you saved my
yeah,
arm with your artificial blood or whatever." Um, and then that's it. But yeah, like there seems to be so much of this movie just gone,
hmm
and we'll never know. We'll never know what the story was. We'll never know what did Tyrese do, because I can't even think of a moment that they would even be in a position to do anything like that. Other than maybe when he's chasing him on the roof, maybe he like punches Morbius or something with his metal arm or
right.
something. But if I'm not
There was
mistaken,
a
yeah,
there was a moment. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? Oh, the just real quick, like there was like two. This doesn't have to do with Tyrese, but there was like two moments where we were sitting there, and I was like, "Is this Batman Begins?" Like
yeah,
just the
exactly.
way like it's kind of shot, I guess. It's just very reminiscent of Christian Bale down in that cave with the bats like all flying around him. Um, to me, I mainly felt that when he steps into that tube with all the bats in them, which
Yeah,
somehow has never
absolutely.
been seen before because his whole office is glass, so you can easily just like
Yeah,
look into his
exactly.
office, which doesn't really make much sense. Um, but you said that about the score as well at one point, right? You were like, this feels
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean the
Hans Zimmer
score,
score.
absolutely. The score, I feel like multiple times it has that like, like Batman Begins has that very like build up like, dun,
Hmm.
dun, 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 dun. Like that happened like 5 different times in this movie, especially during that scene where he literally gets into a thing with bats and like stands up in them in this big like hero shot type thing. Um, the score totally was 100%
Hmm.
reminiscent of Batman Begins, and I feel like there's no way that that wasn't on purpose. Um,
Right.
and then so I wanted to look up the Tyrese image. So it's not the exact arm that we see in the movie. It looks like maybe
Hmm.
like a piece of it or a modified part of it. But in this picture, like they're like him and a bunch of cops and his partner
In
are
a
in like this
forest.
forest. There's
Yeah.
no scene that takes place in a
Nope.
forest. There's
Yeah.
nothing with a forest or anything. And I was waiting for that in the movie. I was
Hmm.
completely waiting for that, and it never happened. And it's just I don't know. And I feel like all right, I feel like we have to also address the elephant in the room of the end credit scenes. Uh,
Oh, I was gonna talk about
oh
that
yeah.
real quick, but I just wanted to touch on. We haven't talked about Martine. We haven't really talked about her at all.
Well, neither
I
did the
thought
script. So
yeah, I kind of liked the relationship a little bit. Um, a little bit, not a
mhm.
lot. I didn't really get when she cuts herself on the cat food can, and he's like, "Oh, you got to cover that up," and then she just sits there,
Yeah,
and it's like, "Go get a band-aid." Like, what are you doing?
yeah. That's what I didn't
Um,
understand that.
and then the moment where at the end, well, kind of towards the end, when she's laying on the building and like
Yeah.
like the 10-second shot of him flying to the building, I was like, can we, cut this
I
like
turned to you. I
five
was like, "What
seconds
is this
ago?
Fortnite?" I was like, "Are they like?"
Right, yeah.
I was like, "He looks like
Um,
he's gliding into battle."
right. But you think she's dead, but at the end it turns out she's alive. But I didn't see her get injected with that thing.
I think the idea is that he now can make other vampires. Because remember, he bites her neck, but we don't see him like drink any of the blood.
Right.
So I think he made her
But
into a vampire.
see, now you say that, but that doesn't track with everything where he killed all those other people. They should be vampires too.
Well, yeah, no, I'm yes. With what the movie presents, the movie
Yeah.
doesn't present a concrete distinction with that. I just know
Hmm.
like with most vampire lore, it's like you could do two things. You could bite
Yeah.
someone's neck and like drink all their blood and stuff, or if you just bite their neck but don't drink their blood,
Hmm.
they will become a vampire. Like
Mm.
that's just like how like with based on like Twilight and like what we do in the shadows and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's so I'm just assuming that that logic tracks here. But then again, he
Hmm.
also at one point, Martine tries to get him to go in the sunlight, and he's like, he like jokes with her, and then he's like, I'm not that kind of. Which I will say again, that too is a slight positive, is I felt like there were some jokes in some moments that like were genuinely like, oh yeah, that's like funny. Like I thought that was a
Hmm.
good moment where she like tries to get him to put his hand out on the coffee cup, which is like in direct sunlight, and he's
Hmm.
like, and then he's like, I'm not that kind of like I felt like that was a genuinely like funny, human,
Yeah.
real moment. Um, but there weren't many of those in the movie.
Did you like
Uh,
when the those counterfeit bill dealers came in and they said we got to get back to the lab?
yeah, and I was
It's
like,
like, oh, we found our new lab, I
yeah,
guess.
because
Like,
that's what they're gonna that's what they're gonna call it when they're printing money. Um,
right.
but yeah, no, that was so dumb. And then I thought maybe he was just gonna like attack those guys or something,
Hmm.
but which I guess he breaks the guy's hand or whatever. But I don't know, that was just so stupid. I just really did. And then we're in that lab for what 5 minutes just to make the
Yeah.
just to make the like whatever you want to call it, poison or antidote or
Mhm.
whatever. Um,
So real quick, sorry, this is
yeah.
just bringing it back to the cat that they brought with them to the lab. Uh, does that does the FBI, you know, breaking into not breaking in, I guess, because they probably had a warrant, but like busting down the door of Morbius's apartment, was that just for that cat scene where he shakes the litter box? Because nothing comes from that, right? Like they're not like,
Well, that was
why do?
what's her name? That was Bancroft. That was Martine's apartment.
Oh,
But
okay. I thought
yes,
that was
that was
Michael's.
it. I mean, it was just to show that she wasn't there, which
Okay,
Rodriguez already knew because he saw her, he saw her out in public and then run away from him. So
right,
why would
yeah.
he assume that she went home? Like, or not? I mean, I get that he would have checked her house to double check, but I don't understand the shock of like, when he's like, "Oh, Kitty's gone," so's his mom, or whatever he said. Like
And then he
I
shakes
don't
the litter box,
understand that. Yeah,
right?
I don't understand the shock in his voice. That's like, the last time you saw her, she was fleeing from you in public. What makes you think she'd be like, "Oh, I'm home. All right, I'm
Hmm.
safe." Like, why? Why would you think that? But yeah, that was just other
Yeah.
stupid character
But
stuff.
yeah, we got to talk about post credit scenes, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
the what we've all been waiting for, the follow up to the highest grossing film of 2021 by far, the follow up to Spider-Man: No Way Home. We finally got it in this movie, um, and my breath was taken away. I These were some of the best. Um, I can't even do it. These post credits were terrible. And honestly, I thought the movie was way better than like what these post credit scenes teased. Like honestly,
yeah.
I love Michael Keaton's Vulture. I would have rather seen a post credit scene with like Martine or something. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna set up like because I don't care about the Sinister Six. I don't. If you're gonna make a Sinister Six movie, that's great, cool. But guess what? They didn't say, in the first Iron Man, they didn't go to, you know, Nick Fury didn't show up at Tony Stark's apartment and be like, I want you to be on the Avengers. He was like, let me tell you about or I'm here about the Avengers Initiative or
Avengers
whatever.
Initiative, yeah.
And it's like, but that is set up because
Hmm.
Phil Coulson is throughout that movie
Movie,
saying,
yeah.
"Hey, I'm here from Shield. I need to talk to you," and he keeps putting it off and putting it off. And Phil
Right.
Coulson is in that movie the entire film, like 10 times. It would be totally different if we just watched Iron Man. There was no connection to anything else, no tease of a government organization or something, and then Nick Fury shows up and he goes, "I'm from Shield. I want you to be on my superhero team. I think we
Hmm.
can do some good." Like,
Hmm.
that is the difference that I think Sony just does not understand. Um, and I don't know, man. I honestly, before I saw the film, I was like, I just feel so bad for Michael Keaton for like kind of getting dragged into all this. But honestly, I feel bad for Jared Leto now too, after seeing it and like kind of enjoying him in it. And I think he is good in the role. Like I think he does just about as good as I think anybody would have in that. Um, it's just like it doesn't fit either of their characters as well. Like so for the first post credit, if you somehow don't know, the first post credit scene, there is somebody. There's the rift from No Way Home. Opens up in the sky, and then Adrian
Michael Keaton
Toomes,
just,
yeah, pop.
yep.
And also, did you understand? I didn't understand why he like touched his face and was like, "Oh," like as if he looked different. He doesn't look different. I don't
How does he
understand what that
also
was.
just, how does he land in prison? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like did he like
Doc Ock or, Green Goblin were just kind of thrown somewhere, whereas he just is in prison, like
yeah,
where he
like
was
well,
already.
I don't know though because we didn't see where the other ones landed. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? But the ones that
that's
we
true.
did physically
Yeah.
see were Venom and Vulture, and Venom,
Hmm.
Eddie, he got transported to exactly where he was.
That's a good
So
point.
maybe the other
That's
ones
fair.
did, we just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Like I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that. Um, but like, what are the chances that that prison cell would be empty? That he, it might have been a universe where
Yeah. Hope
that
the food
prison
is
wasn't
better in
even
this
there.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was so stupid. Like, I just felt so bad. And then also like, again, things happening off screen. Why when and how did Vulture, because clearly Morbius is driving to meet Vulture, but then
Yeah.
when Michael Keaton starts talking, it almost seems like he like happened upon him because he's like, "Oh, Dr. Morbius, I've been reading about you." Like, well, didn't you set up this meetup?
Worst really bad ADR, by the way,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
in
clearly
that
they
scene,
didn't
in that post credit
clearly
scene.
he wasn't there or
Yeah.
anything and it wasn't recorded like and also in no way or sorry, in Homecoming when he was in the suit, he sounded like he was inside of a suit. In
Right.
this it just
Yeah.
sounded like a regular voice coming out of the
Yeah.
suit. Which
Yeah.
was like so stupid. And then there's the whole other bit of now I will give them this that it is clearly a different suit. It seems a little more
Yeah.
traditionally
I've heard this is
powered.
the Amazing Spider-Man 2 possibly suit. That's what I've been seeing a lot on TikTok. Is they're taking the
Maybe.
screen grab when Dane DeHaan is walking through the lab and the suit is behind him, and then comparing it to the Keaton suit in this movie. Um, so that could be. I don't know. You could throw Garfield in there, I guess, because that would line up with his universe.
No, that's totally different. I can see it right. That doesn't even look the same. I'm not saying you. I'm just mean like
No, I
this
know. Yeah.
theory. It doesn't even look similar at all. I mean, maybe if that's the way that they want to like retcon it, but then it's like, how did he break into Oscorp? That's another thing
Did
that was cut
you
out of
did
this
you
movie is Oscorp.
confirm that? Did you confirm that corporation that he runs is the same as the
Oh,
one
that's
in
what I
Miles
want to see.
Morales?
I believe so, but let me just see. Hang on.
You imagine if that? Well, I guess they already had a Vulture in Miles Morales' universe, but because they had the one in the just original Spider-Man game,
Yeah.
PS4. But how about like Morbius? Like, if this is truly a Sinister Six thing, which people are uh, suspecting, and I think rightfully so. Why Michael Morbius? Michael Morbius is a hero, dare I say, throughout the movie, or
Yeah.
an
No.
anti-hero,
Absolutely.
and usually sinister means villain.
Mm-hmm.
So in no way do does that kind of track for me. And even and again, I think people have made this point multiple times, but even Adrian Toomes at the end of Homecoming, like he refuses to give up Spider-Man's identity even though he knows who he is.
Yeah.
And he now wants to kill him, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the another thing too is when he goes, I think it has something to do with Spider, and also honestly, fair to Michael Keaton for getting the paycheck because I'm sure they just
mhm.
recorded in an audio booth, but he really, I mean, there's just no character behind his acting. Like
No,
he just
correct,
goes,
yeah.
he's just like, not sure how I got here. Think it has something to do with Spider Man, but let's say you and me get together and do, it's like
Do some
that's not
good.
even and I said to you like when we left the theater I was like he's not at all like wondering where his wife and daughter are or
Nope. Don't
what's
care.
going on with them or how to get back home. That's not the main thing because he's like, oh, I'm still trying to figure this place out. And it's like, what are you taught like
Where'd he get
one
the
of the
suit from? Too. Like, where did
exactly.
that come from? He just made it. Like, he made it that quickly.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
I
And how
guess.
much time has gone by?
How much?
Like
Yeah.
how long has he been here? Uh just makes no sense. I don't know. It just makes no sense. But I will say overall, like we kind of talked about, I think the movie is a watchable movie. I think it's not an absolute disastrous like garbage fire.
Right.
Um
I agree with that.
but that being said, it is still very bad, I would say. Um, there are enjoyable
Yeah.
parts like Matt Smith and stuff, but I feel like even he gets kind of shunted aside for zero character
He
development and just
he
becoming
dances a
like a
few times, which is
yeah,
kind of out of place, but it's really like, Jim Carrey esque in Batman, or
yeah. And
I guess Paul
I
Dano in the
said to you
Batman as
guys
well.
right when the movie started with like the credits and stuff, I was like, I feel like I'm about to watch Batman Forever because like
Hmm.
the credits had like a intro. I did like the like look of the credits that it was like these like almost
Yeah,
like laser
the
lights
big
or whatever.
M,
Yeah, like
the
whatever that
purple
like.
M.
Um, but that being said, like the credits, yeah, like you said, the font was almost exactly like it is in like Batman Forever. I thought,
Hmm.
but it was just like very all over the place. But for me, I will say, I will give Morbius 2022. I will give it a 2 out of 5. A two
I'm
out of
right with
five.
you on the 2 out of 5 for Morbius. Does this make you uh nervous for Craven?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes is
I
the
mean, you'd
answer.
have to assume that's the next member, right? If you had to put it
Yeah, I mean,
together.
I'm guessing. Unless they say that this is set in the Venom universe, so I guess Venom is also probably going to be. So then that brings us up to 4.
Yeah, I'm interested to see um the box office on this, because there was like 10 of us in our theater,
Yeah.
maybe 13. And every other Showtime I feel like I've looked at has been like pretty empty. So I'm
Yeah,
interested to
like
see.
I'll say when I worked so like opening night, like the
Yeah.
Thursday night, the 7 o'clock IMAX show, which for those who don't know where we live, there's only one IMAX auditorium in the entire area where we live. I mean, the closest one is um, like in another state. We're talking,
Hmm.
um, and the IMAX auditorium for the Thursday night, the 7 p.m., which is like the prime time for it, had 49 people in it for Thursday night. And everything else, every other Morbius show on Thursday night had less than 10 people. Um, and then, which gave me hope because then I thought maybe, well, okay, well, and then on Friday, the IMAX will probably be busy and then everything else will probably be slow or whatever.
Hmm.
The Friday night, no showing of Morbius cracked 10 people the
Nice.
entire night. And that's Friday night. The date on the posters, on the trailers, the actual date, April 1st, no showing cracked 10 people. It was terrible. So yeah, like you said, I cannot imagine what the box office is come out is of this is going to come out to be, and I can't imagine that Sony spent any less if you include marketing, I can't imagine they spent any less than 200, maybe 250 million dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie itself, I would say, probably is like 150 million, because there are a lot of visual effects in this film, a lot.
Hmm.
Just even in regular everyday scenes, because of how Matt Smith and Jared Leto's faces work and stuff. Um, Almost every shot with them in it is a visual effects shot.
Hmm.
So I can't imagine it was a cheap or even modest budget on this. Um, but yeah, guys, that was kind of our thoughts and review of Morbius. What let us know what you guys think of the movie, or if you haven't seen it yet, what are you what do you think of it? Are you going to see it? Do you think it's worth your time at all? Let us know all that and more in the comments down below. That'll do it for me. I've been one of your hosts, Sean Monk. Again, make sure to follow us at the official PFN on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're posting over there all the time.
Yeah, I've been your other host, TJ Cornwell. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought about the movie in the comments below. Check out some of our other reactions on the channel. Check out the other channels as well. PFN Live, live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. PFN Gaming as well. And we will see you in the next review.
Boom.